And luckily, we have yet another returnee to QSR, Aarti Mehta, who is the Director of Marketing at the Melt Shop, to talk about how they've developed this into a strategy for building brand, grabbing new audience. This is fascinating stuff. Aarti, come on up and let's give it a shot.
Hi, everybody. I'm Aarti. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you guys. First and foremost, I just want to say happy National Fried Chicken Day, Sandwich Day. Anybody running campaigns, good luck. Like Steve mentioned, I'm going to be talking about Melt Shop and virtual brands. But before I dive into that, I want to tell you something about Melt Shop. We celebrated our 10th birthday this year. We launched in New York City at the height of the grilled cheese movement. We were one of the pioneering brands. There was the Melt in San Francisco, Melt Bar and Grill in Ohio area, and then of course on Shark Tank, like we talked about last night. We really did pioneer this movement. This is our menu, our branding at the moment, really leaned into grilled cheese, the spatula, the yellow. That's our first storefront in New York City. There's a lot of food porn in this presentation, just warning everybody, but I love food porn. So this is a glimpse of our early menu. This is our burger melt. We got our truffle melt. This is the one item that everybody keeps asking for. Maple bacon, fried chicken. And this is how our brand developed. So our second forefront, we decided to take out the spatula, expand the product categories to more beverages, sides, breakfast, but we still leaned into the playfulness of grilled cheese. More food porn, kept the classics, some more fried chicken. And then this is what our storefront looks like now and our branding. It's a little bit more modern, and this gives us the flexibility to expand our product offerings because grilled cheese doesn't deliver well and it doesn't drive frequency. So we've really expanded beyond just melts. So currently we have tenders, tots. We have an LTO program that is also, just like Allison mentioned, a big part of our marketing. It'll be seasonal or we'll do it occasionally. So on our birthday, we always do a special LTO. We played with breakfast. Breakfast is hard, not going to talk about that, but it did bring buns into the picture. We launched cheeseburgers and really expanded the fried crispy chicken sandwich category for us to offer a lot of buns. More buns, and then kept it going. This is our Beyond Burger. So we were at the height of all of this. Product innovation really became a key component to our marketing, LTOs, et cetera. And then everything just stopped, as we all know. So we took a step back, and I don't want to talk about it because these are all the emotions we went through. We all know what we went through. As a collective team, we felt it. As a collective industry, we felt it. So this is where we introduced virtual brands. A little bit of fun facts about virtual brands. So if you're not familiar with it, a virtual brand at Ghost Kitchen is a delivery-only business that can be made in a central kitchen or out of an existing restaurant. So global delivery sales had already doubled from 2014 to 2019, with investors already looking at ghost kitchens prior to the pandemic. By the end of 2020, there were an estimated 100,000 virtual brands in the United States, and they keep growing. The theory is that by 2030, that industry globally will see 1 trillion. So why? Why did we do it? Why did we go down this path during the pandemic? Well, we really wanted to optimize the performance of our fixed assets. So how do we take advantage of the operational equipment we have, the real estate we already have, and the labor force? We wanted to create ancillary revenue streams, capitalize on the increase in demand for delivery, and reach new consumer sets. But also, how do we retarget our existing consumer sets and influence behavior? So everybody knew us as grilled cheese. How do we tell them about these other offerings that we had? And then we wanted to test new products and concepts fairly quickly. So these are our Melt Shop house of brands, as we like to call it. We have Melt Shop and then the 4 virtual brands. The first one we launched was Melt Swing Shop. This one we launched in April. We rolled it out in a matter of 9 days. We were lucky enough to be one of the first people to do it, the first brands to do it. You saw a lot of chains go into wings. We had we had chicken resource and supply chain ready. We had a fryer, we were able to do it. We leaned into our existing marketing look and feel, use the same font, use the same layout, just added a little bit of color and maybe changed the style and name. Because this was April and we didn't have access to photographers, we really had to use Shutterstock. Not the best branding, but it got the work done. And then we quickly blew up because it was performing so well. So we gave it its own native ordering site. We gave it its own Instagram page. We gave it a feedback loop through Tattle so we can learn and change really quickly. So we're hyped. This is going well. Moved on to Melt's Cheesesteak. So this is cheesesteak brand, same look and feel, brought in more Shutterstock images. The thing that we did different with this, which is something we're still exploring, is packaging. Obviously, we can't bring in new packaging for each of these brands. So there is a little bit of guest confusion because when you order from Melt's Wing Shop, you're getting everything in a Melt Shop bag, but we were ready with messaging. And luckily we didn't get a lot of feedback on that. So what we did is because we brought in foil, we added a Melt's cheesesteak sticker. So that's how we differentiated if you got the delivery. This failed massively. It just didn't work. It wasn't the sales we saw with Wing Shop. And from a team perspective, it was very overwhelming. We had to bring in the foil, we had to bring in new bread, we had to bring in new procedures. So we learned our lesson. At this point, we had taken a pause. So by this time, we knew the pandemic was hanging around a lot longer. And we were nimble, and we also got a lot of flexibility just to do stuff. So we're like, okay, what are some stuff we wanted to do? Let's just throw a bunch of shit against the wall and see what sticks. So we did a complete menu overhaul, launched some more crispy chicken sandwiches that traveled well, introduced new flavor profiles. So this is our Korean barbecue. Launched a Juicy Lucy. If you don't know what Juicy Lucy is, that's cheese stuffed inside the burger. Looks great, didn't perform well. Launched a few more melts and mac and cheese. This was the menu. Quite a bit of change from what we had for this menu overhaul. We took a step back and looked at this and thought, okay, what kind of virtual brands can we create? So we looked at the mac category. We had brought in mac and cheese. We had new procedures for mac and cheese, and we had packaging. So the team was already trained. We had the 3 core products. Then we looked at all of the other flavor profiles that perform really well on our menu and added a mac and cheese base. So now you can come in and get the Mike's Hot Honey Chicken on a Bun, or you can get a Mike's Hot Honey Mac. You can get the Chicken Bacon Ranch Melt, or you can get a Chicken Bacon Ranch Mac on our virtual kitchens. And so with Mac Shop, leaned into the same branding, but explored new photography, kind of giving it its own identity to see what it'll do. There's a lot of testing in this. And so testing and tweaking was sort of the nature of the game. And then third-party sites. So third-party sites have been an important player in this entire story. I know there's this love-hate relationship, but what we realized is we really needed to collaborate with them, and they had to be our partners because this is where our virtual brands were surviving and they were thriving. We didn't have the resources to do a lot on the native front to launch it, and this is how you launch quickly. You just throw it up, follow their guidelines, put some great keywords behind it, and bam. So we would have conversations with our third-party partners weekly. How's the data doing? What trends are you seeing? What can we do better? And then we created a virtual brand toolkit. So they knew that, hey, Melt Shop is launching a brand new virtual concept. I know exactly what promo they want to get first customers in, know what promo they need to put in place to bring back those customers, and then also just to put us on top of keyword search. So keyword search here is very important. What we were also doing is meeting with them and asking them what trends they're seeing. How are people in our market searching? How are people searching nationally? And how could we influence those to create our own virtual concepts? So then came Crispy Chicken Shop. There was a trend in American food. There's a trend in crispy chicken. We do crispy chicken. So we just took all of our existing crispy chicken items, created a virtual brand, and added 2 signature items to really differentiate it and hit the ground running with that. In the midst of all this, we were also rebuilding our app and our online ordering program. We wanted to move away from our Level Up loyalty platform, and we knew we were becoming sort of an e-commerce business. So how do we improve our website and our app to support this virtual brand strategy. So now if you go to order.meltshop.com, you will still get the attentive message, but you will also get access to all of our virtual brands. And you can cross order and say, you know, one person wants mac and cheese, somebody else wants crispy chicken. It all goes into one ticket and increases the average order value. You can also apply loyalty to it. You get all the promos, and then we're driving you through that funnel. Here's just another look at how the app layout looks with each different brand, looking at crispy chicken and the wings. So how's it going? These are the 5 brands. Cheesesteaks failed, as I discussed. So now each corporate location of Melt Shop has either all 3 of these brands they're serving, so up to 4 brands, or a mix and match of a few based on what we learned in their market and how much the operations team can support. And the way we've built this out is it's easy for us to turn it off if we need to, if the team's feeling overwhelmed, or add more if we need to as well. So this is some data. I'm sorry to bring it back to metrics. Virtual brands are seeing a lot of growth. You can see the growth in each individual one. And we actually had our highest sales in virtual brands this past month. Melt Shop sales are generally growing, and virtual brands are incremental to those sales. You could see the update on top. In July 2020, they were 5% of the total sales, and now they're 12% of the total revenue. At Westchester Mall location, which is in White Plains, virtual brands saw 50% growth, and both Crispy Chicken Shop and Mac Shop, the ones we added later were incremental to that growth. And then this is a kind of a breakdown of how we're seeing each channel. Obviously, third party is ruling it, but we've seen a nice increase in native as we start to drive people to these different experiences within our own ordering site. Present day and the future. So we're still in a pandemic. Everybody's still exhausted. There's a lot we need to do, but we need to keep in mind that there's still a lot of issues we don't control, from supply chain to labor. So still working through all that, but the hope is to keep growing. So this is a new menu that we launched yesterday. And so launched some new products, really built out the Mac category. And then we're gonna take a step back and see, okay, what are some virtual brands we can now continue to build based on this? So there will be a hot chicken concept coming real soon, since we have that in every category, and then exploring other ones like maybe salad shop for January and February where we need those sales. Future, more virtual brands, collaborations. How do we bring in condiment companies that we love and create virtual brands with them and leverage their marketing base for ours? Brand identities. The virtual concepts that I showed are doing well. So now we want to step back and give them some love. Give them photography. Do we keep the same look and feel, or do we blow it out of the water? Do we give them their own social channel, influencer strategy, et cetera, and go from there? Direct menus. So if you go on order.meltshop.com, there is a lot of similarity between all the menus, because if we saw something performing well at one virtual brand, we just added it to the core. So that differentiation isn't there in our native, it's definitely there on third party. So how do we create an actual virtual brand experience on our online platform? And then the native funnel. How do we take those third party folks, put them in the funnel so we can keep targeting them and take them away from third party? And then packaging. Our bags now actually list all of our virtual brands, so we're educating the customer, but how do we keep doing that? And that's it.
Questions? You've got to have questions about how these work and what she's learning. Yep.
How big is your team?
I am the marketing team, and on our HQ we have 5 people, so it's very tight. Oh, great.
Every time you add a brand, you have to have resources to support that. So like, how are you doing it then if you're a one-woman show?
I mean, we have our toolkit, like I mentioned, so we work with a lot of agencies, and now they kind of know that, like, okay, Melt Shop's thinking of a virtual brand. I know what I got to do from a logo side. I know what I got to do from an execution side. And that's why we also keep it simple and launch on third party for kind of the bare minimum. And then if we're gonna blow it out of the water, kind of go from there. And again, the way we built the app, it's built so it's very easy for me to code in a new brand and let it live. But yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What? I've got a laundry list, so shut me up. But I've got a laundry list of questions after this. But anybody else? Okay. First of all, explain the failures. What did you learn from the failures, and why did they fail? Was it environment? Was it product?
It was all of it. So product, there wasn't a demand for cheesesteaks, and we should have done a little bit more research in that. Operationally, it was too much new for our team at that time. So it was new flavor profiles they weren't familiar with. It was new SKUs that we hadn't used before, just new packaging with the foil wrapping that I think all of it together, it was nice learning, but it just didn't work.
Not to be impolite, but that looked like relatively bland branding to me. Is that actually a part of the ecosystem?
The melt shop branding?
Well, the various virtual brands seemed rather nondescript, very plain faced. Is that actually a part of the strategy?
It is, because like I mentioned, we're a very small one-person team. So to do brand exploration when we don't know how well it's going to do just wasn't where we wanted to put our dollars. That's why the hope is maybe next year, because we know these are doing well, we give them that brand love and identity that they need.
Does this cause any brand confusion among your traditional customers as they start seeing all this sort of wave of other brands showing up in that app?
Not in New York so much, because people are very familiar with virtual concepts out there. So there hasn't been that much. There is confusion on the new customer sets. They're going to virtual brands that don't know it's associated with Melt Shop and are getting these packages from Melt Shop when they ordered from Crispy Chicken Shop, and there's no branding on there.
I have a couple of questions about the delivery ecosystem. One of the problems here I can see is that it's a relatively low barrier to entry to a whole host of your competitors, and we're really just talking about generic keywords here that can actually help build brands out of nowhere. How are there guarantees within the delivery ecosystem, within your delivery partners, that competition will be limited, or is this simply open? Is this going to be a Wild West?
To the Wild West. That's why, we really have that toolkit ready whenever we launch a new brand. That's like, okay, this brand is coming. How do we maximize the photography that we have available? Now we have photographers and are doing our own photography for all of these concepts. What are the promos we're pushing? What's the play-to-play we're doing? What's the sponsored listings? How are we coming up on front? And then it's talking to these third-party partners every single week to see how we can keep tweaking and improving.
So you could be you could see escalating keyword wars and escalating keyword prices, and does that become the terrain of competition? Then is who can pay most for a given set of keywords around a brand concept?
Well, that, and it's also experience, right? So like reviews and ratings play a big part of it. So operationally, we have to make sure we're executing orders accurately, which is a hard hurdle, and they're being delivered. There's all these factors. So once all of those are together, you have that magic formula to hopefully work and show up until another competitor comes and is vying for those same things.
Who is really owning the customer here and the back end data on all of this? What are you getting from these ecosystems, and who ultimately is owning that customer? Are you having any success in converting them to your sort of first party pool?
We're having some success. It is difficult because as much as we want to convert those guests over, these guests are committed and loyal to their third party. A Grubhub customer might just love Grubhub, and an Uber Eats customer might just love Uber Eats. We'll do everything we can, and even going kind of old school, which is stapling a postcard onto the bag that says, hey, your next order, get $5 off, order from order.meltshop.com or buy our ads. But it is the third party folks that are owning a lot of this data, and we're doing anything we can to bring them over to our side.
Great. You fielded all of those really well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Aarti, Mehta, thank you so much.